Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Musicast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And just as always, I just want to remind you all that we do have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/No Name Musiccast. That's facebook.com/No Name Musiccast. And on that subject, I'm going to hand you over to Joy, who has some exciting Facebook posting news for everyone.
All right. So after this episode, we have a little special something going up on the page. Obviously, Tim's got to do some editing and we've got to promote this episode. So it'll be a little bit, but later on tonight and obviously into Thursday, there's going to be a track. And Tim, if you're an avid listener, you may have heard Tim plays the guitar, maybe. I don't know if you guys have heard that or not. And you've heard that I have a little bit of a vocal background. So we decided to do a song together. It's actually a version of Creep by Radiohead that we did together. Tim used his lovely editing skills and made me sound extra special. But it will go up on the page tonight. And we hope you guys like it. And if you like it, share it, use it to promote the podcast, or just download it and listen to it. That would be cool, too. As always, we hope you enjoy.
Fantastic. Yeah, so please check that out. It should be it will be up on the Facebook page, as Joy says, just after I've finished finished mixing and mastering and all that kind of stuff of this podcast. But anyhow, this week it's Joy's turn to pick the topic, and as ever, I don't know what that topic's going to be. So it's over to you, Joy.
All right. This topic came to me on a complete whim. It might have been in the 15 different versions of Radiohead Creep I was singing one night for Tim, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, it is one-hit wonders.
Oh.
So we're going to go through what the Rolling Stones ranks as the top one-hit wonders of all time. We're going to see the reason I thought about this is Tim has mentioned what is a one-hit wonder in America is not necessarily a one-hit wonder across the pond, or what's a one-hit wonder across the pond might not be a one-hit wonder in America. So that could be an interesting play to see if some of these people we know, or if me and Tim actually enjoy music that most people don't know from them. Mm-hmm. Personally, I was thinking about this. A couple of one-hit wonders that I love that you hear a lot is OMC, How Bizarre. That's probably one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Love Grows Where Your Rosemary Grows. That's a tongue twister, but that song. And then I also really like, everybody likes Chumbawamba Tub Thumping, which is a one-hit wonder. You hear that one on every list ever. Are there any one-hit wonders, Tim, that you really like?
Well, I mean, there's lots. I mean, certainly growing up in the 80s, there was lots of novelty hits, and novelty hits tend to be one-hit wonders. There was a famous one by The Firm called Star Trekkin'. I don't know. Have you ever heard that one?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know if that one had made the leap to these shores, but that was always a favorite track.
It's almost being used comically, though. I mean, I don't think I've heard it in any serious manner.
No, I mean, it's a parody of Star Trek, one-hit wonder, etc., etc.
All right. Well, we're going to step into what Rolling Stone says is the top 10. The number 10 is The Vapors Turning Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, even with my extensive music knowledge, I don't think The Vapors ever had any other hits apart from Turning Japanese.
Did you know?
Even though the subject matter of that song isn't necessarily anything to do with Japan.
So, yeah, there's a big joke. We're not going to say it because it's a PG podcast, but if you want to look it up, there's a reference. But who was it? Was it Kirsten? There's a version of Turning Japanese done by like Kirsten Dunst, the actress in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard it, Tim?
Yeah, I didn't. I think it wasn't on the soundtrack of a film or something like that.
Maybe. I just know she's like it's almost kind of embarrassing how culturally saturated the video is. She's running around in what looks like an anime Japanese outfit, and she's in all the different Japanese stores. But it could have been used for a movie. I don't know what movie. I just remember one day I was on the internet and I found it. I was like, where did this come from? I wasn't expecting it at all. Because, it's not like she had a music career.
No, and was she aware of what that song is actually about that we won't mention and you can look up if you don't know?
90% of the comments on that thread were like, maybe not the right choice. Also, some people just say that song's a little culturally insensitive, though I've never gave it too much thought.
I mean, yes, it is culturally insensitive, really, because what it's going on about, which again, fans, you can look up if you want to look up, and this is a PG.
Just don't look at the pictures. Just Google it. Don't look at the pictures.
Exactly. But I think, yes, I think at this point, as woke as we are, it's most certainly culturally insensitive.
Okay. Well, that was number 10. Number 11 is Question Mark and the Mysterians 96 Tears. Do you know that song, Tim?
Do you know, I don't know that one. Was that like a novelty hit or something like that?
Actually, you probably do know it because I didn't realize let me give you the lyrics. I didn't realize what song it was just based off the title. Let me see here. It's like, well, I'll just put it in the thing, but it was like a song that I've heard on TV, or I've heard he's literally talking about crying through the whole thing and teardrops, but it's really upbeat, happy, and kind of psychedelic. But it must have been, because obviously they're one-hit wonders. It says Steve Van Zandt is quite happy to tell you the 60s grunge rock era produced a variety of one-hit wonders, has a lot of competition, but 96 Tears and the Mysterian is by far the most memorable. Originally called 69 Tears, I think I have a feeling why they changed the name. You guys can look that one up too. It was a number one hit in 1966. And I guarantee you, Tim, if you heard it, you would know it, because I did. I was like, what is that? And I pressed play on the video. I don't want to press play now, guys, because copyright. But when we get out of here, I'll put it on the Facebook group, because you've heard that song. There's no doubt in my mind you have. You just don't know that you have. It's probably one of those ones where you're like, oh, that was that one. It's been used in movies. It's been used in car commercials. It's been used in every 1960s psychedelic reference, that kind of thing. So you'll know it when you hear it. Almost think like the Zombies or something kind of overplayed when you're trying to make that ambiance. Mm-hmm. I couldn't think of what word. I think that works. Aesthetic. Yeah. Aesthetic would normally suggest that that's visual. Whereas ambiance can be visual or smell. But it maybe would be mostly audio. Possibly. Yeah. I mean, but I'm talking about like when you're watching a show or something and they've got some guy going back in time and like Cheech and Chonger and some VW band and there's like a 1960s psychedelic song playing. It's that song, pretty much. But it's one of those ones that I guess is supposed to be sad, but it just sounds happy. So you never register what it's actually about, basing off what he just said. Let's see here. The lead singer, though, frontman Rudy it's literally Martinez, has fronted many incarnations of the band at oldie shows, but insists he is from Mars. An alien from Mars. Well, so, I mean, as you know, Sammy Hagar claims that he was abducted by aliens, so maybe musicians just get abducted. Maybe that's why he never got to make any more songs. That's why it's a one-hit wonder. They took him up into space, and then he came back, and he forgot how to use his voice. Maybe this is why Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. Maybe he wants to go and find this man who's been living happily on Mars. I saw a headline about Elon. Why can't I talk? Elon Musk before I came onto the show, and it said that his like the people, I guess, what are they called? Investors, or I don't know, whatever they are. Investors are people who make money off of him, are asking him to run his tweets through a lawyer before he puts them out from now on. And he said no. I mean, have you ever followed him do you follow him on Twitter? Yeah. And it's just wacky. I mean, it's whatever's on his brain. That is someone to me that I think has a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of brain power, but he doesn't necessarily know where to put his energy, if that makes sense. Well, I think he's putting his mind and his brain power and his energy in the right direction. I mean, he's making really cool electric cars that drive themselves. Yeah, that's true. And my husband really wants one. Yeah, and he's sending spaceships up. And the mission statement of his technology company is to make the human race into an interplanetary species. I mean, that is pretty cool. But I mean, if you think about it, it probably does take a larger than life kind of person to come up with this stuff. So I don't know why we're all that shocked. But sometimes he says things that do breach PC terms, I guess, what's politically correct in today's society nowadays. So I think that's probably what his investors are worried about. I don't know.
Well, I think the other thing is he sometimes announces things that he's not supposed to announce. Like he'll say, oh, next month we're knocking 15 grand off self-driving Teslas or something. And then like it hasn't gone past anyone.
And then their stock goes crazy.
Yeah, and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, you're right. So away from Elon Musk, number 8 was one I already mentioned. It's Chumbawamba's Thud. Oh my God, tub thumping.
Tub
which everybody,
thumping.
Yes, it's tub, like getting in the tub thumping. Which I know that song very well. I'm sure Tim's heard it a million times.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I have a very distinct memory of this song. So I used to go roller skating all the time, obsessed with roller skating, which makes no sense considering how clumsy I am. But miraculously, I was good at roller skating. Don't ask me how that worked. It was the one graceful thing I could do. But when I was first learning how to roller skate, and this is just going to sound really silly, but it was cute. Me and my twin sister would get out like an actual boombox, Tim, like old school boombox, play the radio. And there was 3 songs we always were trying to capture because we had like a wraparound porch that was concrete. So we would practice when I was first learning roller skating. I'd practice it on that. I didn't have a helmet, didn't have knee pads. Today, people will probably hate me for this. I probably could have lost some brains, but my parents let me do it anyway. So me and my twin sister would put the little boombox out. We put our little Barbie skates on. They were Barbie branded. They're pink. They're the ones that go over your shoes. And this is when we were real little. And then as I got older, I got into going to the roller skating rink and all that stuff. But and it was always, there's 3 songs we were so excited when they came on. Cotton Eye Joe. Thud thumping. Oh, what was the other one? Oh, yeah. Anything but the Spice Girls, pretty much. It doesn't really matter. But I just remember every time Cotton Eye Joe would come on, we'd be like, turn it up. We would become like really crazy roller skaters. Same thing with thud thumping. So that's thud thumping, tub thumping. So that's why that's what I think of when I hear that song.
Well, I tell you what, tub thumping reminds me of going to Blackpool in the early 2000s. Wait, was it 2000? Was it? No, it was maybe late 90s. When did that 90s. Song come out?
It would have been, hold on, I probably have it here, 97?
Yeah, that's probably about time then, late 90s. So my dear friend Hog, Paul Summerton, who is the singer of Rough Justice, me and some friends went to...
Did you say Hog?
Hog, yeah.
That's not his real name, right?
No, his name's Paul
Does
Summerton.
he give up the meat raffles?
He's called Hog because he went to a children. I think it's Drusilla's Park Zoo, I think is the name. I've got a picture of where it is. Anyway, he went to this children's zoo with his wife, and you could get on a scales, and they would tell you what weight you was compared to animals.
Oh.
And he was the size of he was the weight of a warthog. So he decided to call himself Hog. And when we was in Rough Justice, everyone had a band name. So you had a band nickname. So he was Hog. You had Old Man River on the bass, who was your bass player when I joined. And then you had Taffy on the drums. And then you had the other guitar player went through several names, but none of them stuck. And then I was Caesar.
I assume that's where your Caesar came from.
Yeah. So anyway, he got married in the late 90s, and we went to Blackpool. And Blackpool is a seaside resort in the north of England, and it's probably certainly the largest seaside resort in England. Probably it has 3 piers, and it used to be back in the day where you would go for a great family holiday. And since the advent of cheap international travel and going to Spain on the cheap and stuff like that, it's ended up being somewhere that people go on stag nights and hen weekends and stag weekends where drunken young people just run amok, basically. And
so that's what you think of when you think of the tub thumping, that song?
Yeah, because when we went to Blackpool, like every pub or every bar and every place we went into was playing that tub thumping song.
Do you know what song that happened to me was when I went to New York? I don't know, late 2000s. There was a Gwen Stefani, The Great Escape, that song. Every store, every bar, every restaurant, that entire summer, that song was on repeat. That's all I heard the entire time I was in New York. Don't ask me why. But Gwen Stefani was making bank off that song. It was everywhere.
Last time I went to New York, I don't remember any music being played in shops, but maybe it was completely unmemorable.
The only reason it stuck out to me is, we went to a bar and it was playing at the bar. We went to the store, it was playing at the store. I'm pretty sure we walked into a Subway, it was playing at the Subway. Otherwise, I would not have mentally remembered it, but I was like, I like the song. I still like the song to this day because I like Gwen Stefani. But I just remember thinking, that squirrel's making some money. All right. So what's interesting about the band Chumbawamba? So what is it we're supposed to say? What's our thing from the bingo card, Tim? Do you know?
Interesting fact.
Interesting fact. Now you got to drink twice. All right. The band formed in England in the early 80s. They wrote intensely political songs fused with folk, punk, and dance music. And when their song blew up all over the world, they went on Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher. And they basically just urged fans to steal their albums because they were upset with their label.
Yeah, the lead singer of Chumbawamba's name is Danbert No Bacon. Probably not his real name. Actually, no, I've got Wikipedia here. Danbert No Bacon's real name is Nigel Hunter. So
what you're saying is he doesn't hang out with Hog because he's bacon. They don't hang out together. Not related. Sorry, guys. I'll be here all week.
Yeah, don't forget to tip your waitress and bartender.
Tim, can you edit little drum kind of thing in there for me?
I'll see what I can do.
Anyway, so what about the lead singer? Oh, Lord. Sorry. Yeah, apparently, though, they were very active in Europe, but not in America. I'm guessing maybe that's what it says. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I knew that they were a political band, and they were active for a number of years before that Tub Thumping song came out. But I remember as well, outside of Blackpool, I was playing a lot of gigs at the time with the Blues Brothers tribute band, and it wasn't my band, but I was sitting in and helping them out while the guitar player was, I think he was working out his notice or something. Anyway, there was a period of 3 or 4 months where I was doing a lot of gigs with this band, and every one of these sort of bar, restaurant places you went into, that's all you heard was that. It was just everywhere.
Well, like I said, I remember we would every night it came on the radio 7 times in one night, and I'd be so excited every time. Don't know why, but that's what because I would have been 7 when that song came out. That's what 7-year-old me thought. Oh, look, there it is again.
Now, the question is, did it make you lose control on your roller skates and have an injury?
No, it didn't. Surprisingly, it like I said, it makes no sense. I have injured myself in every way imaginable, but for some reason, I was actually really good at roller skating. Don't ask me why. I can't account for it. No clue.
Maybe it was probably your Barbie roller skates, which had some kind of thing where it locked if you went too fast.
Yeah, probably. And then when I got older, I actually got good at it. I bought real skates. But you got to start somewhere. So they were my version of training wheels. I can't even ride a bike well, Tim, but I can roller skate like no other. I don't know.
Well, there you go. I don't think I've ever roller skated, and I don't like the idea. I went skiing once, and I did not enjoy that. I went ice skating once, and I equally did not enjoy that. It's the slippy, slidey sensation. I don't like that.
So I made a rookie mistake when it comes to ice skating. In theory, I never rollerbladed. But I did roller skate. I can rollerblade if I need to. But I made a very big rookie mistake. There are 2 types of ice skates, if you did not know. There are figure skating ice skates, and there are hockey ice skates. Well, my dumb self didn't know that and picked out the pretty ones because that's what I wanted. They were the figure skating ones because there's a little rental place. Figure skating ice skates have a built-in stopper that's a little zigzag pattern at the front. I face planted instantly. because I did not know that was there. And I mean, I just face planted. And I was like, what happened? And that's when my lovely husband, who should have explained this because he grew up in Utah, so ice skating and that kind of thing happened all the time when he was younger, did not explain to me the difference. Once I got the right skates, I was fine. But yeah, there was a lot of pain and anguish that caused me.
I went, friends of mine wanted to go ice skating. We went to the ice rink that was in Slough. I don't know if it's still there. And of course, you know the UK office with Ricky Gervais?
Mm-hmm.
You know the opening titles, there's a big roundabout in the opening titles?
Yeah.
That's shot from the bus station that's no longer there. So if you go looking at that roundabout with the road going off into the distance, if you drive down there for about a mile, on the left used to be an ice skating rink, and that's the ice skating rink I went to.
I can't tell you where the ice skating rink I went to was. It's somewhere in Utah. Someone wants to find out. I mean, there's an ice skating rink on every block in Utah. So, all right. So the next one is another one that we should all be familiar with. It probably could have been on our overplayed songs episode. Blind Melon, No Rain. Heard it 1,000,000 times, 1,000 times. And I feel like it's one of those ones that was probably played on every station for every time you walked into any store, whenever it came out in 1993.
I was going to say I was assuming it was early to mid 90s. So yeah, 93 would be about right. So
let's see here. The latter group was a hippie grunge. I'm just reading this. Hold on. They played at Woodstock 1994, which I did see. Did you ever watch Woodstock 1994, Tim, before it like caught fire and mudslides and went crazy?
I didn't actually watch it live. I mean, it was probably shown on MTV Europe at the time, but I didn't watch it. I mean, I've seen highlights from it. To me, it was badly organized. Mm-hmm. And then is that the one that was on an airport runway and it was like 120 degrees?
I think so. I know it was extremely high, and then it started like, wasn't there mudslides and something caught fire, and I don't know, like everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yeah, I think what it was is that whereas like most festivals are on grass, so even if it gets hot, the ground sort of absorbs the heat. Because this was done on like an airport runway type thing, and it was all tarmac. It was just the heat just bounced off, and it made the ambient temperature hotter and hotter. The other thing is that all the corporate sponsors were selling, bottles of water for $5, and
that's what I remember, that they didn't provide water and things like that.
Yeah, and I think and a lot of people got angry about it. And I mean, there's no excuse for wanton destruction, but I think a lot of drunk festival goers, probably high on who knows what, thought it would be a good idea to set things on fire and start looting, and that's what happened.
Well, and then you have to remember, there is actually some psychology behind when people get hot, they get aggressive. It's been proven that actually more murders, violent crimes, and things of that nature. And this is, guys, I'm not talking out my, I studied psychology in high school. It's not a joke. They actually say that people tend to commit more murders, more violence, more anything in hotter temperatures. More violence happens in the summer and things of that nature. There's something in the human psyche that does not like to get too hot. Truly, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Not justifying it. I'm just saying you add that to an already, like Tim said, probably high, drunk, and who knows whatever else, and you've got a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. And whereas the original Woodstock was all peace and love, this was just seen as a massive cash grab.
Of course, the original Woodstock was not without its own issues, but it was definitely more peace and love.
No, absolutely. And the original Woodstock had incredibly bad scheduling that meant that bands went on at 3:00 in the morning and things like that.
Yeah, if you there's a lot of documentaries. There's a lot that didn't go right, but a lot that did go right. And one of the most iconic things in history. So it is what it is. All right.
Have you seen those ads on Facebook where they've managed to get sheets of the wood that was used on the stage?
No.
And they sell it as like a little peace symbol, but with a piece of Woodstock stage in it.
That seems like Facebook specifically targeting that to you, Tim. Because I've never seen that. It's very targeted.
Well, I thought about it, but they wanted like $100 for a small piece of wood that big. And, it's Woodstock and it's cool, but I don't know if it's that cool.
As soon as we get off of here, I guarantee you, I'm going to go on Facebook and that ad is going to pop up. And I'm going to be like, see, Tim, what you did? You spoke it into existence. My Google Home has heard it, and they sent it to Facebook.
That's it. You're done. That's all you're going to get ads for.
Next 6 weeks, it's all going to be Woodstock ads. You really want this $100 piece of wood. All right. So they said that they played at the 1994 Woodstock, but apparently the singer was hopelessly addicted to drugs and died on tour the next year.
Oh.
Sadly enough, that's where they may have ended. They did say the group reformed in 2006 with a new singer, but it didn't really go anywhere.
I mean, it never does. I mean, Blind Melon are not really an iconic band by any stretch of the imagination, but any band where with about two exceptions, where you switch out the lead singer, they're never good after. Like In Excess, they had that whole rock star thing where I
remember watching that. Yes,
and they found a new singer, and then they had a tour, and they had an album, and where did that go? Absolutely nowhere.
Well, it's not even like, and this is just my opinion, I don't even personally like In Excess that much. Like, I know they could be one-hit wonders, truthfully. So I wasn't really that into it to begin with.
Well, I tell you, the In Excess Kick album is absolutely superb.
I will have to go look it up.
I highly recommend it. Maybe in a year's time, when I re-challenge you to listen to some albums, I'll include In Excess's Kick.
Fair enough. All right. And with that, the number 6 one is another one that everyone should have guessed. The Knack, My Sharona.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Are there any other Knack songs?
Let's see here.
Well, I know there's an album called Get the Knack, which I think is the one it comes from.
That was their debut album called Get the Knack, blew up on the strength of his power pop classic, My Sharona. The song was inspired by the Knack's frontman, Doug, I don't know how to say his last name, his girlfriend, Sharona Alperin, who worked as a real estate agent. So that's who Sharona is. Oh. Their second album didn't fare well, and they split in 1981. So they did the Knack in 97 and split by 81. So that could be considered why they probably didn't have any other songs.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's anything else notable from Get the Knack. Probably not.
Well, let's look at the tracks. Get the Knack.
I wonder.
I'm surprised you don't have this somewheres in your background, like you just pull it out like you always do.
Well, so I've probably got the album in my iTunes, but I'm not super familiar with it.
Personally, don't recognize this. So the tracks are "Let Me Out," "Your Number or Your Name," "Oh Tara," "She's So Selfish," "Maybe Tonight," "Good Girls Don't," "My Sharona," "Heartbeat," "Siamese Twins," "That's What Little Girls Do," "Lucidia," and "Frustrated." None of those ring a bell to me.
No, which is the reason why My Sharona is a one-hit wonder.
Exactly. And now you know why they're on this episode. To stick with it. And do you remember, didn't they remake My Sharona for a COVID? No. Was it My Sharona? What was it? Or maybe that was Rihanna. There was a COVID remake.
I'm sure pre-COVID, there was a beer commercial that was called My Corona. Oh,
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I think I'm thinking of Rihanna, whatever it is. They did a COVID one, but I don't think now that I say it, I don't think it's the Knack. Anyway.
I would imagine that it wouldn't have the cultural impact for people who were into Rihanna.
No, not Rihanna. What is the song from Rihanna? I can't say it. It's not Rihanna. It's pronounced like. It's the one from.
Is it one of these singers that's got like a punctuation mark or a dollar sign? No.
It's an old school band, Tim. Oh God, it's Rihanna. What is that song? It's not Rihanna. It's. That's going to drive me insane. Somebody's screaming it at me.
I would imagine normally Phil's screaming at his car radio on his way to work, so I'd imagine he's doing that right now.
I was like, no, Joy, it's this song. Oh, Stevie Nicks. Dang it, Tim. I just screamed Stevie Nicks at you. Rhiannon. What is that song? R-H-I-A.
It's Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, she's a...
That's what I was trying so hard. That's why I'm like screaming Stevie Nicks at you. Because I'm like, why can't I? Okay, that was.
I thought you'd discovered a safer work expletive. I just stubbed my toe. Stevie Nicks.
No, I'm like I'm trying to think of what the name of that song is, but I can't say it.
Rihanna. It's Rihanna.
That's what I was trying. Lord, why couldn't I get that? Okay, y'all, I haven't been drinking or nothing. This was just honestly my brain. But I think they took that song and made it into some type of COVID remix. Not that it matters. All that just for me to say that.
But we have discovered a not explicit expletive for this podcast.
Just yell Stevie Nicks at the top of your lungs. Forward. Okay. You guys can't see it, but when I yelled it at Tim, his face was like, okay.
I thought you was going with Rihanna, and I was going to tell you an interesting Rihanna fact, but no, it was Rihanna. Go ahead and say it now. Well, from the last episode, Nuno Betancourt, the guitarist from Extreme, you on the last tour at least, was Rihanna's musical director.
Oh, well, there you go, guys. All that for us to get to that, and now I'm going to change the subject. All right, so number 5 is Tainted Love by Soft Cell.
Well, they had other hits.
That's what I was thinking. I feel like they had some other songs, unless I'm crazy. Let's see here. Oh, they never had another American hit, but I guess they had some other ones in other countries.
Yeah, they had a song. They had a song called "Say Hello, Wave Goodbye." I know that for a fact. So I just looked it up.
Well, and they had something called like "Something's Got to Get a Hold of My Heart," right?
Oh yeah. He did. The guy from Mark
like
Almond. It wasn't a Soft Cell song, but it was Mark Almond, who was the singer, did a duet with Gene Pitney.
Apparently, that doesn't technically count as Soft Cell. So
no, but I mean, certainly Soft Cell had one other hit. They may have had others.
Okay, well, it seems like they seem to then maybe. Tim, I don't know if you know this, but yes, I do know this song. I just didn't know. Big Country in a Big Country. It says the Scottish poor man's U2 is what they described them as. Sorry, Scottish.
Yeah, they had a number of albums out. I think you're probably right that that was the only big hit of theirs. There was you probably have never seen it. There was an independent Scottish film in the 80s called Restless Natives.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you I've never seen that, no.
Well, it was... Do you remember... You probably remember this. If you ever rented tapes from like Blockbuster or whatever in the 80s, they always used to have extensive pre-roll commercials.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And I remember in the back when we first got a video recorder, this film Restless Natives was often shown, and I think at some point we saw it. I can't remember, and it was about I think the premise of it is that these two robbers sort of became like folk heroes. But anyhow, the point being is that Big Country did the music for that film.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the band was also called Big Country. I know the song In a Big Country. I could hear it in my head because it says that line. But I did not know their name was also Big Country. So that's how little I knew about them. Apparently, their frontman killed himself not too long ago. So we don't need to get into that. But they said that this is true. It says they're somehow made their guitars sound like bagpipes. It kind of sound like bagpipes.
Yeah, it's I think it's double tracked. I mean, I know exactly what they mean because they were Scottish and they were embracing their Scottish heritage, and a lot of it does sound bagpipey,
which is a cool sound. Honestly, I now that they say that I could hear it, but I just hadn't thought about it. This is another one that I've heard a lot, and I used to like a lot more, and then I that's kind of grew past me. Spirit in the Sky, Norman Greenbaum.
Yeah. That is a song that's famously banned from hospital radio in the UK.
Because it's about God?
Well, when I die and they lay me to rest, I want to go to a place that's the best. Do you really want that on hospital radio?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
In fact, actually, here's a question. do the United States hospitals did they ever have their own radio station?
Not to my knowledge. I've never been to a hospital that had a radio.
Because it was, I think it's still a thing. It certainly was a thing years ago where the hospitals would have their own radio station. So you could call in a dedication and the DJs would play songs.
Yeah, no, we just had TVs in our rooms.
And it used to be a lot of DJs, radio DJs, certainly in the 70s and 80s, started off on hospital radio.
Huh. That's just weird to me because did it go off at night so the patients could go to sleep? Could they turn the volume down? How did that work? I mean,
it wasn't playing in the room. It wasn't going into Top
just
Shop
in the
or
hallways.
Something. No, it would be on a headset. You'd have to tune in and listen to it.
I was thinking across every hospital in England, it was when you're at the grocery store. And I'm where in the world? No. I mean, there may be, no. I completely had a different picture because I'm if I'm sitting here, okay, guys, I'm going to tell you, this is how my brain works. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I'm passing a kidney stone. I'm pumped up on medicine. I'm in a really bad mood for passing a kidney stone. The last thing I want to hear is the Who. I could go for miles or Leonard Skinner blaring across the thing while this makes more sense. Or I was just imagining when you're at the grocery store and I'm oh God, they force you to listen to music while you're already suffering at the hospital. That sounds terrible. I was going to say that universal healthcare doesn't sound so good after hearing that.
No, it was see, in hospitals in England, having TVs on the wards, I think is, I mean, Sarah will be able to correct me, but I mean, it's certainly, when I was growing up, it wasn't a thing. Whereas I think in the United States, it was a thing. But certainly,
as far as I can remember, it was.
Yeah, but hospital radio always was there. And in fact, actually, it was just before I left England, maybe 2010, 2009, myself and Hogg, in fact, calling back to my friend Hogg from earlier.
And Bacon, he was there too.
Yeah, we were all there, all their friends, they all came over. And we did a promotional piece for a festival gig that we was doing. And we promoted it on, I think it was on West Middlesex Hospital Radio, I think, whatever that was called.
Yeah, sure. I know the answer to that. I don't know. Tim was looking at me I knew the answer. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Gosh. Okay. Yeah. Could you imagine though, Tim, if they did play it over the radio like a grocery, and you're sitting there and your arm's broken, and the next thing you hear is the greatest hits from Journey on repeat the entire time you're sitting there.
And do you think they'd run a commercial? 50% off having your appendix out.
That's the other thing. I was was there games? Did you have to listen to commercial? And then I'm I don't know if I'd want to be a radio DJ for that. Okay. All right. It makes more sense the way Tim explained it. All right. Next one's a good one, though. This is a song I personally love. It's a little overplayed, but it's one that I love. Come On, Eileen, Dixie Midnight Runners.
Yeah, they had other songs. They had that Gino song. And I think this is one of these songs, for the US audience, it's considered a one-hit wonder.
That's what you were saying, because for me, I'm I have never heard another song from them.
Yeah, they were a thing for a while. And they were wearing dungarees and...
So it does say something about, I do remember the dungarees because of the Come On Eileen video where he's wearing the little green thing and he's sitting out in front of that shop or whatever. Yeah, but anyway, it says... Dixie Midnight Runners frontman Kevin Rowland says that his massive hit, Come On Eileen, was inspired by a real girl. It's about someone I grew up with. He told him in 82, absolutely true. It's about 14 or 16, and they had a relationship. We don't need to go into that. There's a lot of stuff there I can't say on a PG thing. The video benefited from the fact that MTV was brand new and desperate for anything they could broadcast. They consistently play Dixie Midnight Runners on there and it scored them a massive hit, but they broke up 3 years later after failing to match it in America. So specifically in America, they didn't have any more hits. Roland has toured in Europe with many different incarnations. Yes, he does magic on the side. Incarnations of the group. Guys, I can't speak today.
He is the Penn and Teller of the one-hit wonder world.
Somebody out there is going to be listening to our podcast and imagine him just like up there with taking a bunny out of a hat or something. Anyway, so apparently Tim is right. So that's what I thought was interesting. We were discussing this before. I guess it makes sense. They do say it's harder sometimes for musicians to become popular in America. I don't know why, but it's just true. I don't know.
I mean, I've heard of a lot of. I've got a lot of acts that I know of or music that I like that no one has ever heard of here.
Do you see that though? Like, I mean, besides the whole Selena thing we had a conversation about, but that was for like 5 minutes. Is there any other artists that people talk about here that you wouldn't have known in Europe? Or does it not seem to go both ways?
Do you know one, actually, I'd never really heard of was Jimmy Buffett.
Oh. He's a pretty big known person in America. I mean, he does like Cheeseburgers in Paradise, and that's pretty American. Yeah,
and also he has chain restaurants and hotels and...
Oh, yeah, he's totally making all the money.
Exactly. But I mean, I would say he's not a household name in the UK whatsoever. I'm sure some people know of Jimmy Buffett, but it's not the same cultural phenomenon. And I was going to go and see Jimmy Buffett once, and he played the Hammersmith Odeon, and the Hammersmith Odeon holds 3,000 people, maybe 4,000 people. It's not a big venue by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe even be less than that. But I know here, Jimmy Buffett, I mean, he plays the Enormo Dome and it's 30,000 plus people and does these massive tours and all stuff. I mean, he played just one random date in London.
He has like a cult following in America with like the fins up people. So like he's known in America for our European as being like the kind of beachy sound. And like he does like a fins up thing, like a shark. My best friend even has a fins up license plate because she loves Jimmy Buffett. So he's a phenomenon here.
Yeah, I mean, like the Virginia DMV has a Parrot Heads license plate that you can get.
And plus but he doesn't actually really drink. He talks about that. Margaritaville and stuff is just kind of like a facade he puts on, but it's like I never actually drink alcohol or anything.
Well, it's a marketing strategy. I tell you who's like that as well. Paul Stanley from Kiss. Because I've been following him on Twitter and Instagram, well, mostly Twitter, to be honest. And because he's very bored because he can't tour, he's probably going to be able to start touring soon. But currently, all of last year they couldn't tour. And he's actually a super smart guy. He's super switched on. He's socially aware. He's into all the stuff that you think you should be into. He's into equality, all the values you think a cool person should have. But like on stage, he's come on everybody, that's rock and roll. That's not him.
So he's the opposite of Gene Simmons, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
sorry I don't think, if you guys like Gene Simmons, but personally, he's a little crazy.
Yeah, I don't think Gene Simmons is a cool guy like Paul Stanley in real life. I think he's just exactly the persona he has.
Yeah, that's what I think too. All right.
Though I will say he is actually super smart.
I mean, you can be smart and be crazy. They're definitely not separated things. Actually, most smart people are crazy. Cue us talking about Elon Musk a little while ago. All right. Number one, Tim, if you had to take a stab, think of we've talked about this song numerous times.
I would probably guess, and this is another one of these ones, in my opinion, is a US one-hit wonder.
I think you're right.
I would probably say... Take On Me, Aha.
Aha, he got it.
Aha!
Because we had a conversation. They're from, where did you say they were from?
Norway.
I was thinking Swedish. Okay, close. That's close. But yeah, that's what they're saying. Tell anybody in Europe that Aha are one-hit wonders and they'll think you are crazy. That's the first line. Especially in their native Norway. Aha scored hit after hit, were massively popular. They even played at the Lillehammer Olympics in 1994. In America, however, their cool animated video and the singer with the insanely high range is what they're known for. And of course, it's been used in every movie since the beginning of time in America too.
Sure.
Super catchy riffs. But yeah, apparently that is one that we've discussed, and they're saying this is true. Everywhere but America, Aha is not a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, I remember it was on a trip. When I was still living in England, and I came here on a trip, and we stayed in New York City, and we just got in from the airport, was very tired, and was just kicking back, and had put the TV on, to VH1 or MTV or whatever it was, and it was actually a one-hit wonders show that was on. And just as we switched it on, they were talking about Aha's Take on Me. And I remember saying to Hannah, I said, "That's not a one-hit wonder. They had lots of hits."
She was probably like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's interesting, though, because I guess that kind of goes back to Americans only. I don't know. I don't want to say that we only see what we see, but sometimes we do get a little isolated in that sense. But at the same time, it's just what was put out there for us. For some reason, the rest of their music really wasn't promoted. I don't know.
But don't you? Wasn't the James Bond film, The Living Daylights? That must have been a popular film here, I would assume.
Yeah. All the James Bonds were.
Yeah, they did the theme music to that. Wouldn't have that charted? Wouldn't that have been a hit?
Probably, because a lot of music out of James Bond became hits, but for some reason, I guess it just never made it into the top 10 or something.
It's weird. Oh. I can give you an interesting rock and roll fact about Morten Harket from Aha.
Okay.
So, Norway is the world's largest electric car market. It's like I think it's like four or 3 out of 10 vehicles sold in Norway currently is an electric car. And Morten Harket was a very early adopter to electric cars, long before Tesla were invented. There was various niche brands you could buy that were electric cars. But Norway also has incredibly high taxes on petrol, gasoline, and also it has high tolls on their roads. And one of the things that happens in Norway, apparently, if you don't pay toll roads and you don't pay the taxes on the vehicles, the government will actually repossess your vehicle.
Okay.
But he was very ecologically aware and wanted to get people on board with electric cars. So he made a stand by blasting through tolls and not paying the toll money, because he said, "I'm driving an electric car. We should be encouraging people to do this, not penalizing them for it." And apparently in the end he got his car repossessed and it became a whole big media thing. But during the process of that, they decided to remove the tolls and remove some of the taxes from electric cars to encourage people to drive them and to buy them, which is why Norway is the world's largest electric car market.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I kind of get where he's coming from. I don't know if I would have risked losing my car, but to each their own. He probably has more money than me based off of what you're saying. So, but I'm going to give you some honorable mentions, Tim. So that was the top 10. A few honorable mentions that I saw across the board were Tequila the Champs, which I know everybody's heard that song. When the Lion Sleeps Tonight, the Tokens. The Monster Mash came a bunch.
That's who's that by? Who's the artist?
Bobby Boris Pickett, and the Crypt Keepers. Yeah, Bobby Boris, and then let's see here, the Archie Sugar.
Yeah, that was a studio band that was put together for a cartoon. I seem to remember.
Let's see. Hooked on a Feeling, Blue Suede. I feel like they had some other songs. Maybe I'm wrong.
I do know that Hooked on a Feeling was covered by David Hasselhoff.
Of course it was. That's all I can say about that. And then it says, Play That Funky Music, Wild Cherry. And this one surprised me, Tim, and this will probably be where we kind of leave it, but The Boys Are Back in Town, Thin Lizzy. I never thought Thin Lizzy are defined it as a one-hit wonder.
No. I mean, like, you got Sarah, you've got Jailbreak. I mean, we covered Jailbreak on a previous episode.
Yeah.
I mean,
where are they breaking from, Tim?
It's not going to be the Tesco, is it? Really, it's likely to be a jail. But I mean, who defined Thin Lizzy as a one-hit wonder?
So here's what they said. Amazingly, the success from one hit wonder Thin Lizzy, which we disagree with, almost didn't make it onto the airwaves. We weren't actually going to put The Boys Are Back in Town on the Jailbreak album at all, said Scott Gorham in a 2015 interview with Classic Rock magazine. But the management heard it and said, no, there's something really good. Thank goodness for that, because Thin Lizzy's Boys Are Back in Town would have never been heard. That's all they said. And I saw it on multiple. Do you think it just comes down to people just not knowing classic rock and assuming that they hear one song?
Yeah, I think, I think it comes from, as we've discussed before in the overplayed hits episode, where US classic rock radio has a playlist of 17 songs, and people just assume, oh, Tom Petty had one song, and Thin Lizzy had one song.
That's
and
true.
Billy Idol had one song because that's all they ever play.
That's probably true. Another one is Afternoon Delight.
By the way, the Starland Vocal Band.
We don't need to talk about what that one's about. That's another one that's not PG, supposedly.
Yeah, you can look that one up if you're interested.
I think the title should give it away, maybe. But anyway, Video Killed the Radio
it's about
Star.
drinking. Isn't it about drinking Sunny Delight? Isn't that what it's
Yes, of course. And then, of course, the Buggles Video Killed the Radio Star. That
Absolutely.
was another one.
I prefer the definitive version of that, which is called Freak Jam Made Everyone a Star, but maybe a little biased on that one.
I was like, I knew there was a Freak Jam version. All right, Tim, out of all of this that you've heard, is there any one-hit wonders that we missed that you thought, I can't believe that wasn't on there?
I think your list pretty much definitively covered, outside of novelty hits, I think it pretty much considered the pantheon of one-hit wonders. But it's interesting, though, to consider what is a one-hit wonder in the US as opposed to one-hit wonder in the UK. I think we've seen that with like Dexter's Midnight Runners and especially a-ha.
Yeah. The one that I like that I didn't see mentioned a lot, and this goes back to our 80s movie trivia, was Mickey and Sylvia's Love is Strange, which is in Dirty Dancing soundtrack. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know that song or not, but that's the one that I was surprised I didn't see, because it is a one-hit wonder, but it's been used in quite a few references to that kind of feel that Dirty Dancing has.
Oh, I just thought of one. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, and call
Tony
my
Basil.
name Mickey. Yeah, that was a classic one-hit wonder.
There we go. And that's how we're going to end it, guys. Everybody record that little segment of Tim singing Tony Basil's Hey Mickey. And we use that to promote anything you need from the future now on, because it was amazing.
Well, there we go. All right. Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.